Chen Yuyi's classroom is completely silent, and that's with good reason. Chen is giving a lesson in Taiwan Sign Language, which is like no other language in the world. As of September, both deaf and hearing students can now choose it as a second language, and Chen is one of nearly 70 deaf teachers ready to teach them. Some of her fellow deaf teachers had a few last-minute nerves as the school year got underway.
I need to teach first, second, and third grade. I feel a bit awkward because I'm deaf and don't know phonetic symbols. What am I supposed to do? I'll just have to collect some picture cards and give them to the students to look at.
Some things will take longer to explain.
But another deaf primary school teacher, Chen Zhirong, says being deaf is an advantage.
Being deaf is an advantage for the deaf teachers. Natural sign language is our mother language. Deaf teachers have better sign language skills than hearing teachers. They have to observe how other teachers hold their classes and make students interested in sign language.
It isn't just deaf teachers who are bringing Taiwan Sign Language to a broader audience. At public television service, a group of dedicated presenters has been signing the news for 20 years. One of the anchors is Mike Nyo.
Our program is completely designed for a deaf audience, and we use sign language. Many people tell me that there's little news related to the deaf community in most TV news. But sign language news broadcasts a lot of news involving deaf people, so they can understand what is happening and how it impacts their rights.
For Mike, the toughest part of the job is translating written Chinese into Taiwan Sign Language. He says the two languages can be very different.
Sometimes the Chinese can be vague. We have to look into what it really means and use sign language to convey that meaning. Also, for example, politicians often use very vague language or political speak. I have to think of how to convey the meaning in a neutral way using sign language.
But he says the rewards are great. He remembers a time when deaf people were often excluded from public life, particularly during elections.
When candidates gave speeches, there were no sign language interpreters next to them. Deaf people weren't able to understand what the candidate was saying. But we need to know, so we brought this up. And the Central Election Commission agreed to have interpreters' frames take up 1/3 of the TV screen.
And while there have been bumps along the way, Mike says the government is learning, and it's serious about giving deaf people equal access to information.
In the past, deaf people would complain that when there was a sign language interpreter, there would constantly be people passing inside the interpreter's frame on the TV screen, or it would be blocked by the news ticker. Seeing that the ticker blocked the interpreter, the government moved them higher on the screen, so the captions and ticker wouldn't block them.
Mike says that offering sign language in all of Taiwan schools will help the language bridge the divide between deaf and hearing people, and that in turn will lead to greater understanding.
今天我想要荡秋千，还有时间。
觉得透过这堂课，我可以更加了解到那些需要使用手语才能沟通的人的感觉是什么样子。
Once a language only used by the deaf community, Taiwan Sign Language is growing in visibility on television, at press conferences, and now in the classroom, putting it on par with all of the many spoken languages of Taiwan. Damon Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.